Íme a tegnap ígért videó.
Do you think fully eliminating Hamas with military means, is that realistic? Is it possible?
Well, I think it is possible to eliminate Hamas, and that means catching or killing most of the leadership in the Gaza Strip and killing or catching most of the fighters of Hamas in the Gaza Strip, but fully eliminating it to the extent that it can't fight the Israelis once the war is over. I think that's impossible, simply because Hamas is not only a militant organization of some 20 to 30,000 fighters, it is also a social movement with a mass following in the Gaza Strip. And that will be the problem the day this war stops. Well, there has been widespread support for Hamas in the Gaza Strip in recent years. Most likely, the number of supporters is between 20 and 30% of the population. That means somewhere between 400 and 600,000 persons. And the problem is, even if you eliminate most of the Hamas militant organization, the organization will be able to recruit among its support base in the years to come. So what is needed is a fighting force that is able to control the situation in the Gaza Strip for months and years to come. And of course, a political solution in order to win at least parts of this social base over. And as it seems, the Israeli government has no clue what might happen to the Gaza Strip after the war against Hamas is won. It is, of course, possible to eliminate the organization, but it's impossible to eliminate all the Hamas fighters. To eliminate the organization will take another couple of weeks, perhaps a couple of months. But then the big problem, as I already said, is how to win the peace.
Israel says that it wants to eliminate Hamas. Is that a realistic objective, in your opinion?
I think it is a realistic objective, and I'll give you several reasons for that. First and foremost, we need to remember the Gaza Strip is only 364 square kilometers, namely, it's almost an island. It's not Lebanon, it's not Iraq, it's not Afghanistan, and any comparisons of that sort just doesn't fit. Second, we need to understand how Hamas is built. It's not an ordinary hierarchy of, let's say, an army, okay? You have the chief of staff and then you have the other commanders beneath you. No, Hamas is what we call a network organization. Namely, it is comprised by several, even many power centers or hubs, if you'd like, that are surrounded by all sorts of power sources. That can be men, that can be areas, that can be all sorts of power sources that each power center like that can work almost autonomously. In other words, or to make it even more clearer, I would say you have leaders such as Sinwar, but you also have Marwan Issa and Mohammed Def and other prominent leaders, including, by the way, outside of the Gaza Strip, like Ismail Haniyeh. Each of them has a role in Hamas, and each of them is a power center. Now, once you remove enough, or I would say a critical mass of these power centers, either by any measure that Israel can take, that will eventually make the whole network collapse.
Say it's not just an army, but you know, the fact that it is so complicated, that it's an ideology as well, it's a set of ideas, you know, obviously including the refusal to accept a Jewish state. So, you know, how can this be eliminated from Gaza? How can it be easily done?
Well, we know that any idea, first of all, we need to differentiate between an idea and an organization. Any organization can be eliminated, even the most fearful one, and we can think about several examples from the history. Second, I would say even an idea can be rooted out. Whether it is the militant idea of Japan after the Second War, or of course Nazi Germany. today we have the most two peaceful countries in the world and pacifist. Any idea can be rooted out. We need to differentiate between the two. What we are interested is in, of course, eradicating the organization. And as I explained, this is possible as well. We just need to get to a critical mass. And to root out the idea will take, of course, years, but I think it's worth it for the sake of the two peoples, both Israelis and Palestinians eventually. Because Hamas is really the most negative player that this area saw in the past 30 years.
Israel says Hamas will not rule Gaza after this war. If that is the case, can you tell us who will then be in charge?
It is a critical question. And what I see and what I hear from planning the day after is, first and foremost, forget about an Israeli governing of the area, a civil one. It won't happen. Nobody in Israel planned it. What we will see is an Israeli military, not even control, but ability to penetrate the Gaza Strip whenever it's necessary, more or less like what is happening today in the West Bank, to take care of immediate threats. And in terms of civilian matters, I see an independent Palestinian administration. And you know what? I have a reason to be optimistic about it as well. Since 2014, I was talking to many fundraisers, okay, for the Gaza Strip. And they told me, you know, many good-willing countries since 2014, namely Protective Edge, don't want to invest money in the Gaza Strip. So what I think is that after Hamas will be eradicated and eliminated, donor country like Japan, like Germany, like the US will come back and invest money in the Gaza Strip, which hopefully will be peaceful, you know, in the long run.
Köszönöm a figyelmet!